Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and this Saturday, April 27th, Manhattan, New York, Muscle Fantasy Night is going to be a great night for everybody. I'm joined by the one, the only Miss Michelle Falsetta. Michelle, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Michael, and thank you so much for asking me to come on the show. I'm really excited to talk about everything.
Oh, you are very welcome. First and foremost, guys, Muscle Fantasy Night. If you check out many talents that are going to be there, like the one and only Muscle Marilyn and the legendary Miss Brandy May, it really is a nice influx of the internal and external beauty that we see with all women that make them the work of art that they are. It really showcases the overall flex, the muscle worship, if you will. It's a great time with a lot of variety.
It absolutely is, Michael, and I love the way you described it because it sums everything up. It's just I wanted to take a little from every single different type of woman and bring it into one, so that every single man will love each woman, even though they have different likes upon each woman, if that makes any sense. And it's just like I'm blessed. Every time I have an event, all of the women are so nice, and not only do they look amazing, but they're also really nice too.
Oh, no, I concur with you. I've always looked at it from a stance like this, and I love how you also have the broad and the expansion of horizons and the variety and the uniqueness that goes into the event. I've always looked at it like this. When you look at a woman, now what almost kind of was like taboo to pair to what we have now, you look at the bodybuilding game, you look at the fitness game, you look at just women as a whole, you look at the fetish, you look at the overall craft that is muscle worship. Everybody, the term that we hear from a lot of gentlemen on the male side, not all of us, but unfortunately there's a crop of them that will refer to the term as mannish, because they look at a woman with muscles, beautiful muscles nonetheless, that have the discipline, that have the overall strength to do what they do in the weight room, what have you, to get their body in tone. And I think it's a great way to show just women for being the beautiful women that they are. Doesn't matter what you look like, but god dang it, man, if you have it, the heart, the mind, the body, and soul, a woman is a work of art, and it truly shows within the content and the process.
Eloquently said, Michael. Yeah, everyone has their likes and their dislikes. However, I found myself over the years, especially when I was competing, and when I was competing, it was more acceptable to be obese than to be a muscular woman, which is ridiculous, right? So I found that most men that are threatened by a muscular woman, not only that they do not like a muscular woman, but that they're threatened by a muscular woman. I mean, let's be real over here. And those men are the ones that are not in shape. They have some type of insecurity about themselves, because a muscular woman, just because she's a muscular woman, doesn't mean that she's mean or she's manly or she's too masculine. It just shows her physique. It's outer appearance. It doesn't mean, it doesn't display what's really inside. But unfortunately, a lot of people judge a book by its cover, and this is society, so I guess you have to deal with it.
Agreed. And I agree with it. I look at it from a stance as well. Like, I remember as a kid, and the best woman I know in my life is my mother, folks. I speak very highly of my mother, made me who I am today. And that's why I love and appreciate the women that we have in today's world and society. I remember when I was a kid, you go into 7-Eleven, right? The overall convenience stores or what have you. You would see a magazine to the section over here, and you would see like a lot of flex magazines and muscle and fitness, what have you. A lot of prominent women were featured on those covers. I look at it like this. If you could see a woman like that, or even if you have to look at the wrestling world, God rest her soul, at China, Joni Lauer was amazing at what she did with her craft. You look at everything from the gravitational side of things and that gravitational pull, whether it be an image, whether it be what have you, the influx of popular culture, the influx of what we see as a society and our overall surroundings, you really take it in. And I think at that stage and at that time of expanding the horizons, you gravitate, you adapt, you grow, you learn. And that's the beautiful thing about life in itself and what we get to see with the craft of what you do.
Right. And I would love to believe, I would love to believe that people do gravitate and they grow and they evolve. But unfortunately, a lot of people do not, because they can't accept it, but fortunately, the men and the women, we'll talk about women, the women that are in this craft and are in this field, we don't care. So that's a great part about it.
Right.
Because we're doing it for ourselves. We're not doing it for society. What society dictates, right?
No, it's a beautiful thing because I always use the term. It's the NFG. It's the no fucks given, so to speak, mentality, which you have to
Oh yeah,
have.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
have to have that. And what I love about it too as well is not just the fact that we have muscular fantasy night, but when you include the overall craft and the overall physicality of mixed wrestling mixed with like sessions and everything, there's something about that is not only intriguing, there's the sensuality, there's the beauty and everything to it, but it's fun, and a lot of people get to have fun with it, the grapple side of things. I mean, when you look at mixed wrestling as a whole, we mentioned pop culture. Look at the 80s when you had Andy Kaufman as the intergender champion of the world. You had the fun side of things, the comedic element, but we see an intergender wrestling like we've seen in AAA in Mexico, like we've seen all around within wrestling today. It's such a hot commodity, and it's such a hot category, if you will, for many great wrestling parties.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. So I don't know if you know my background as far as with the mixed wrestling events. When I started about maybe 16, 17 years ago. And you know, when someone says, you know, I have a calling to become a priest or a nun, so I had a calling, right? So I'm making a joke about it, honestly. But one day I was just like, you know, because I did sessions, so I come from the session world, helped me tremendously, helped me towards my bodybuilding career, pay for my meals and my supplements and everything. I retired. I wanted to retire from sessioning, and I'm like, you know, there's something more. There's something more than sessioning, because all these guys, they love seeing us women, and they love strong women. Why don't I get all these women together? And just, you know, I still didn't quite know what to do. I'm just like, okay, maybe I get all these women together. And I had so many acquaintances, so many friends in the industry, just from being in the industry for such a long time. And I'm like, why don't I start reaching out to these women and see what they think? And I had a little pitch, and I asked them, you know, what would you think if I had a little event / party and had all the guys that admire us come? We have a wrestling event, do some posing, some muscle worship, and they pay for admission, and they pay for like mini sessions, and we can take it from there. So this was like, I had no script, I had nothing. I was just coming from my head, and I'm like, let me just try this. I received a lot of really positive feedback. Then what I did was I reached out to guys that I knew, fans, and also men that I've wrestled and had sessions with. The majority of them, well, everyone loved it. However, not all of them would be able to attend because they were either married or they wanted their privacy, which is totally understandable. But surprisingly, a very high percentage of them came. And at that time, it was in Brooklyn. My brother had this huge 10,000 square foot venue in Williamsburg. Now, I don't know if you remember. So there was no such thing as Uber. There was no such thing as rideshare. There were only taxis, YOLO taxis, right?
Yep.
It was right near the G train. The G train is like one of the worst lines. So you take the G train to the stop, and you have to walk 10 blocks. Okay. So, I mean, I had some really amazing fans, and the women had some really amazing fans. For them to get their asses on the train, if they're not driving, and then walk 10 blocks from the train station, because, well, I mean, they could have taken a cab, but there's no cab, because there's no cabs around that area, because it was all predominantly like a residential Polish area around there. So there were no cabs. So then, to top it off, the venue, they had to walk up these stairs because it was an industrial venue. Michael, it was so funny, because these guys would walk up and they'd be like, they're like, not only did I walk 10 blocks, I had to walk up these stairs. Wait, you owe me a drink. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you a drink. You know, they were really, you know, it was all in light, right? It was really funny. But the whole part of it just made me feel that much better, because I'm like, okay, I'm definitely onto something. You know, these guys really want to see these women. And but I couldn't afford another place like more of Manhattan that was more convenient. But as the years went by, the ride shares came, and I was like, you know, it just I guess life itself. It just became more convenient. So then I started having it in Manhattan, and it started blowing up even more. Because why? Because people from Philadelphia, Connecticut. It was more convenient than even also near the Long Island Railroad, and Manhattan is so accessible to anybody, as you know. So it became a really big hit. And what I did was I went from just muscular women and athletic women to just beautiful women with talents. I mean, you don't have to be muscular, as we were talking about. So I have still to this day, I have just beautiful curvy women that they're dancers, or maybe they're aerobically fit and they have some other talent, and these men love it. And what I found is that, you might have a like or a preference, but you come to my event and you're like, Michelle, who's that? And I'm like, what do you mean, who's that? Yeah, that's somebody that you would never look at in a million years. No, but I spoke with her. She is really nice. So again, don't judge a book by its cover. You might have a certain preference, but when you speak with somebody and you see that personality, and everybody's just so cool there, and it's like a Cheers, like everybody comes like, hey, how are you?
Everybody knows your name, and they're so glad you came.
Everyone, yeah, basically everybody knows your name, because I have most of the guys that come there, and this is, I would have never expected this, but most of the men that come there, they've made friends with the other men that come. And those were the same men that were afraid to be seen because they didn't want to be seen by anybody. But then when they came, they became friends. They befriended each other. And then they don't, of course they come to meet the women, but they also come because their friends are going to be there, and it's a social gathering as well. So, I tell a lot of the men that have never been to the events, I understand you don't want to be seen, but whoever the other men that are there are the same, they feel the same way. There's no cameras, there's no phones. I take everyone's phone. So it's so totally private. But I could tell you, or you can hear it from other people, but unless you're really there, you're really not going to be able to fully experience it and understand, just really with anything, really.
I think it's the all-around representation of your presentation, representing yourself and presenting yourself. And I mean, when you're doing that, you talk about not having phones in the private event, the social gathering. At the end of the day, that's what you have to look at it at. And what I love about it too, as well, it's an empowering and it's an overall uplifting experience of bringing people together, which I think we talk about today's society. We talk about no fucks given. This is how we have to be as people. You know what I'm saying? Bringing everybody other positivity, uplifting, enlightenment. And I also look at it from a stance too, as well. If you're there and you're having a good time, you're partying, let's rock it, let's go. Because at the end of the day, not only is it business and it's craft, but it's fun at the same time. And for clientele and for people like myself, like you, for everybody that wants to be there, it's an experience. And I think if you're living that experience, you're living in that moment, that's moments and memories created and moments and memories yet to be created. That makes us wanting to come back for more. Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that is also the big thing that I have on me with the way I present. I put on my events, that I'm a real person. People that know me and people that do get to know me, they know that I'm real. And I want to have a good time. Of course, I want to make money also, but I want to have a good time. Like, I want to have a good time, and I want everybody else to have a good time. And that's my utmost, that's utmost important on the list, because what is the sense of me making money if people are not going to have a good time and they're not going to feel safe and secure and confident that their anonymity is there, so that's just really important to me. And it could be a fault of mine as well, because maybe that prevents me from maybe advertising more or making more money as far as admissions. But I strongly believe that, according to my whole career, I've been on the right path. So it might be a little slower, but I'd rather be a little bit slower and have everyone feel comfortable and me get to the right place, if that makes any sense. It just makes me feel better as well. No, and I love that. I feel you're one of the many uniqueness of the old accoutrement, if you will, because you're like a Jill of all trades, as they say. You go from bodybuilding, you're doing this. And I think not only are you broadening your horizons, but I'm going to say, folks, if you've not seen the imagery of this beautiful woman right here, like you're seeing her right now in living color, I mean, it's one of those things from where your progression was starting here into more succession, if you will, from your overall views and everything that goes into the events you do. I think that really is telling of what an entrepreneur and what a just overall badass human being that you are, from the overall muscular standpoint and just overall what you got in here. So I admire that. And I think it does show a lot of courage to these amazing women and to your overall clientele. No, thank you. And it makes me feel good as well.
you know, anyone's reputation precedes them. So I know that a lot of these women that have come through to my events, they wouldn't have come if they didn't either know about me or hear about me or have spoken to me and felt safe enough to come. Because the first thing that I used to get in the beginning, they would ask me if I had security. And I would laugh in the beginning because they were mostly all bodybuilders and powerlifters, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd say, security? What? We need security? Like, we're bigger than these guys. We'll beat the crap out of these guys, you know? And although security was utmost, but I screen everybody. And I believe it's from just my sixth sense of when I did sessions. Never, ever in the, I don't know, 10, 15 plus years that I was sessioning, did I ever have a problem with anybody. I mean, thank God, I never did. And I believe it's just because of my intuitiveness and screening people. And I'm not talking about screening people like they do now, that they want their blood type and their social security number and everything. I mean, I just went with talking with them and just like feeling from my gut. And that's probably not a sure shot way, but luckily it worked for me. But I know that when these men, all of the guests that come, they're amazing. Like I know most of them, and I'll get to know others from friends of friends, but they're just so nice, and they just want to come, just like anybody else, to have a good time and have fun. No attitude, no, oh yeah, let me see these muscular women. My muscles are bigger than yours. You know, like, I don't need that bullshit. I mean, really.
It's the machismo, man. It's that bravado that that's man. I get it, but no, I like how you stated it there, because you look at a woman like another one who's a Long Islander like myself, Lady Oyanko, who is also just another one beautiful in her own right, putting out the great content. Like, she's
a badass.
She is. She's such a badass. She's got the silver tongue. She's got everything all wrapped in one, man.
Oh yeah, she does.
Oh my goodness. But no, I love the fact I get to see her there. We saw a lot of promo work from her and Muscle Marilyn and Brandy May, which I got to tell you, seeing Brandy May is another one, but Muscle Marilyn is one who's really coming to her own, and she's another one that's really looking to go out on her one way and do her thing. Like, I'm loving the synergy that those two have.
No, and the two of them work so well together. I know Brandy from years ago. We spoke here and there, but never like to the point that we've been speaking now, that when she's coming to the event. And she's just such, she's not only a beautiful person physically, but she's just like, she has such a good soul. She's like a really genuine person. And Marilyn as well, Muscle Marilyn as well. She's just genuine. I mean, she looks beautiful. And you would think the two of them would be two stuck up bitches that are just like, but they're not. I mean, and I'm not saying that I never thought that they were, but you would, again, judge book by its cover, right? You would see a beautiful woman and be like, oh no, I'm not talking to her. She's stuck up. And especially if they have some type of status, even more so, you would think they were stuck up. But that's absolutely not the case. And I'm so honored and thankful that they are coming, because not only are, people love them and they look great, but they're just really good people. And I love that, because, that also makes the other women that are coming that may not have the statuses that they have, or maybe the bodies that they have, or the faces they have. Well, I shouldn't say faces, bodies that they have. They're not going to feel insecure. They're going to feel comfortable because they're so cool that they're not, like the mean girl syndrome, because I don't like that. No mean girls.
Oh man, you got me smiling. That take me back to like early 2000s, the Mean Girl syndrome, just the overall Rachel McAdams, Lindsay Lohan, infamous cafeteria scene. My goodness, but no, and people think we're laughing, like we're joking about that. That is like a legit thing. There is the Mean Girl syndrome. Like
it is. That's what I'm saying. And something I tell when I speak with new women for each event, and I talk to them, and I speak with them on the phone, and I say to them, I just want you to know that the other women they're all real cool like yourself, and they're real nice. There's no mean girls, and they laugh, and they some know what I'm talking about, some of them don't, but I just want to assure them, just because I'm having a group of beautiful women, I want everyone to be friendly. And there's no competition. You have your fans, they have their fans, but there's no competition, because if you're going to be a mean girl, then you could just leave, because I don't need somebody just because you're beautiful to make others feel uncomfortable. And then the guests are going to feel uncomfortable as well. I don't need that. again, that goes back to maybe that's why I'm not making more money, because if I gave, if I didn't give a shit, then, maybe I'd be, I don't know, Beverly Hills somewhere. So
no, I think it's
I don't know.
testing the waters and feeling the vibes, and the two things, it's accommodation and comfortability while also doing the craft. It's the two S's. It's safe and spectacular. Applying your craft safely and do it in spectacular fashion. So I think you have the right mindset and game there. I mean, if there's anything like this, folks, I'm going to say right now, if you've not checked it out, you should, because doggone it, it's a good time. And I'm excited even to see what more comes from these events. And I definitely want to attend one myself when I'm in New York. Absolutely. But my goodness, man, you look at what you get to see as well with your craft. Like, you've done some movies, you've done some TV, you've made some appearances. Like, I saw the TLC. My God, like Straight Sex. Like,
wasn't that cool?
I loved it. It's so badass. I wanted to ask you about that because I saw the clip. I saw the overall episode. I thought that was wonderful. That was awesome. I was
really taken back. So they contacted me, I think, through email, and they asked me if I had time to talk, and I'm like, yeah, okay. It was TLC. So they asked me if they, could come down and just take a look at one of my events because they were interested. I said, yeah, sure. And they asked me, they said, then after they saw the event, they said, would you be interested? We would like to do a show on you because we are really intrigued, and it's just so different. And we shot for 4 days, and it was fun. It was really fun. And that, I'm trying to think of before or after, because I was in the Daily News as well, the New York Post, and then I was on Channel 7 News. So get this. This is the funniest thing. So I'm Sicilian. All my family's from Sicily. So it was the day it aired on Channel 7 News was a holiday weekend. I think it was maybe 4th of July weekend or something. So I'm home and I get a phone call. From my mother with my grandmother in the background, and like everyone's talking in the background. Michelle, what's going on? Why are you on the Channel 7 News? And I'm like, what? So then I hear my uncle, her brother, saying, Marie, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Look at her. You better be nice to her because you get home, she's going to put you in a headlock. Like, joking about it. Right. So Scott Stafford, from Channel 7, he came by one of my events and he was airing live saying, and this is like, so it's so weird to me because the whole mixed wrestling is so underground, right? But it was on Channel 7 News on 4th of July weekend. And he was just reporting with the latest, this is Michelle Falsetta. She's an entrepreneur, a bodybuilder, and she's been given these mixed wrestling events, and we had to air it and we had to, tell people about it. And if I tell you, so I'm like going back. So this was before TLC. So I believe that TLC told me that they saw this also. And this is what, one of the reasons that prompted them. Who knows if there were other reasons, but it was just crazy that I was on Channel 7 News. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it's still so underground, but Scott Stafford had the balls to air it on Channel 7 for just average people, to see this, which was really good. It was crazy. But so then it just helped me I did a few short films, I did some movies and a lot of magazines, and it's just been a great ride. It really has. And I'm not stopping. It's not over yet. So
the grind never stops and the journey keeps on going. And what I like about it too, as well, is I got to put you over on this, from the magazine covers, from the movies, and especially for those who've not checked her out on TLC. What I do admire, what I do love about the craft is you mentioned the underground, and we mentioned earlier a little about intergender wrestling, mixed wrestling, if you will. What I've always appreciated about it too, as well, is besides the fact that it's the guys, and I got to say, you women kick the crap out of us, and it's a worship. It's something that we love and we can respect, and we enjoy the overall experience, if you will. I've always enjoyed mixed wrestling from the fact of the matter is this, like something so underground you could take to the mainstream. It's like when you look at an independent wrestling promotion on the Northeast, you may not know it, but you are going to know it because it could be a stomping ground for where you see superstars go on to WWE, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, if you don't know it, then now you will know it. You make them know it, and it gets brought to the forefront. I think it's wonderful to really put that there where a lot of people can experience and enjoy it. And I mean, Scott didn't have to do that, but at the end of the day, he did. And that's a wonderful thing to do because, boom, more exposure for you, more exposure on the industry in itself.
Exactly. And he came, I actually wrestled him. So he was not dressed to wrestle, but he asked me, he's like, Michelle, before we film, can you, like, show me something? And I looked at him, I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So I wrestled him a little bit, and he looked at, like, I think for not even a minute, and then he tapped out really fast. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, all right, I had enough. He's like, I get it. So I think he wanted to kind of see if I knew what I was doing, maybe if I was actually wrestling, or if it was more of a fetish and I didn't know what I was doing, if that makes sense. Maybe he just wants to see for himself. Who knows? Or maybe he just wanted to do it. Who knows? Either way, we had fun.
And I think what's great about it too, as well, is the operative word in the muscle fantasy night, besides muscle, is fantasy, if you will. I mean, we could talk about that sweet, sweet fantasy baby like when Mariah Carey back in '95. But at the same time, too, what I love about it too, as well, is we talk about people and their uniqueness and preferences. The fantasy side of things, we all have our fantasies. We let them go. We all have our desires. And what I really do appreciate about that too is, as well, not only just the fact that it's normalized, but the fact of the matter is not only but the community. A fantasy is for everyone. We all have it. Boom. Let's put it to the forefront. Let's explore it and let's go. Because we've always said this, whether you're eating a meal or whether you're doing what have you, if you don't try it, then how will you know? So that's the beauty of it, trying it. And then if you like it, cool. We don't know, but how do you know? That's the beautiful thing. We always ask why not?
Exactly. And like I was saying to you, that with the men that come to my events, to my parties, they, just like you're saying, if they don't try it, they're not going to know. So they're coming with maybe one thing in mind, and then they talk with someone that they would never have spoken with before, and they're like, okay, well, this is another fantasy that could come true. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. It's I would love people who, gentlemen, even ladies, we have couples that come as well, that have like in their mind, they're curious. It is a lounge atmosphere. That's what I have. It's a lounge atmosphere. You come, you could sit, you could be a voyeur, you can talk with people, you can network. You don't necessarily have to participate in anything. You want to come by, you want to be anonymous. We actually even have masks if you don't want anyone to see you. We have masks. So I just want everyone to feel comfortable. And there are a few people that have come that they've worn masks, and I'm totally okay with that. However, within an hour, they take the mask off. So that goes to show you that they feel comfortable after a while, right? So, and that makes me feel good too, because they feel comfortable, and then they're the ones that come back as well. They come back because they feel comfortable and they like everyone there. So, and then the ladies also have a big to do about it. So depending on the ladies that I have at each event, I'll have either more men or less men that want to come, depending on if they want to see those, particular women. So I also work on a lot of requests, because I have a lot of fans, a lot of people that email me, or they'll text me and they'll ask me, Michelle, do you think you could get so-and-so? And I try my hardest to get these people. And if I can get them, then it's even that much better for, the guys that come.
Right. I mean, we've seen women like Mistress Bella Mia being advertised, and you get to see really what I also like about it too, as well, as I think the operative word that I like here is it's a safe space for everyone. Everybody has their safe space.
Totally.
Whether it's internet, virtual reality, or reality in itself, I think at the end of the day with people, and I like how you bring in mask too, and they come right off. It's just you're going right into the deep end, so it's almost kind of like sink or swim. But I think a lot of people are just ready to swim and really just go for it, take that natural high, if you will. And I think what I really do respect about your craft and all these ladies, not just for the fact that we talk about internal and external beauty and the overall foundation, if you will. I think it's just, not only the no fucks given attitude, but the badassery, if you will, and you weed out the bitch assness, if you will. We're putting some words out there. The badassery weeded out the bitch assness, so to speak.
Totally. Yeah. There. And luckily, I think I believe because of my reputation, men and women, when they approach me, even though they don't know me, they know about my reputation, so they know what I'm about. So I think that's why I've been fortunate enough not to get idiots or people that, I have to worry about throwing out or blocking or anything like that. So luckily, I've been doing really well with that aspect.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think what's great about adding the wrestling aspect to too, wrestling always has a little bit of sensuality, if you will, from the maneuvers and anything. So you're mixing
Mhm.
sensuality and physicality. And I also agree with the fact that not only from the session side of things, whether it's headlocks or what have you, and body scissors, being in that world that you were, and bodybuilding, again, it's a nice mixture. It's kind of like a cohesion, the synergy, if you will, of what you want to portray with your event, what you want to portray with the craft. And I think that's also not only awe-inspiring, but also empowering. But I think it's something that really says a lot to the people out there to really showcase their spirits and everything. And even at the end of the day, as people, we're uplifting spirits for people that, need an escape, so to speak. So you have that right and you have that ability to really help inspire and encourage the next generation through your words and actions.
Yeah, well, I like to believe that. I do like to believe that. And and it's funny. I had this one aspiring bodybuilder, female. She had emailed me through Instagram, and she had messaged me, and she said, "Hi, Michelle. I heard about you, and I know that you used to be a bodybuilder a long time ago." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What am I, like 80 years old?" So, but she was like 22 years old, really, really cute, and I'm like, how? Of course, I'm not gonna get mad, but I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm like, what? I look at myself, what's going on over here? So she said, I heard, I know you've been a bodybuilder a long time ago, and I've seen pictures of you. And I know that you also wrestle, and I'm interested in the events that you throw. And I don't know. I'm hoping this is a woman. I mean, it could be anybody, right? But she had a list like this long of questions about the event, on what she should expect, so I don't know if it was a guy that was, maybe jacking off or something that they wanted me. I mean, I have these, just from my experience, right? So I'm like, I don't know if this was a woman or what, but I think it was a woman, and it sounded like she was a young girl that was just really nervous. Well, long story short, I answered her questions. She videoed. I did a FaceTime with her, so she really is a girl. Really cute. She never came to my events because she's really nervous. But she's really, she heard about the events, and I honestly have a feeling that maybe in a year or two she'll wind up coming.
I have hope for that. And first of all, just the fact that like the kids nowadays who think, for those of us who were born in the 80s or 90s or grew up through that time period, like we're in the Stone Ages, for God's sake. Funny. But no,
I know.
it's so funny. But no, at the end of the day, I think, like you mentioned too, if that can boost that girl's confidence in a year or two to come, I think that's wonderful. And I mean, I see a lot of young girls who are around that age too, really coming to their own. And I think it only continues to blossom. And I think we continue to exist to inspire, if you will. So I truly hope that girl does go to your event in the next year or two. But my goodness, yes. But that's what it's about at the end of the day. And I think what a lot of people can take away from this Saturday's event, the 27th in Manhattan, shout out to the peeps in NYC, baby, that we are just going to have another fun night, another experience, if you will, because that's what life is in itself. And I got to say, talking to you, Michelle, being a New Yorker and a Long Islander, fellow New Yorker as well, we got to stick together, and we love what we do. I can tell the passion. I can tell this. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And then also I wanted to add that I'm planning on doing Instagram Live pre-event. I'm going to be doing it, you figure around like maybe around 7:30, 7:45. I'm going to be doing Instagram Live. So if anyone's following me on velvet.row, not on Falsetta M. So if you're following me on Velvet Row on Instagram, tune in, because it's going to be at the venue. I'm going to be showing the venue and when my guests are coming in, and if some of the girls are probably going to be there early. So we're just going to be doing a little pre-event, presentation. So it'll be really nice.
Definitely tune in. I will definitely be tuning in on my own right. I think it's a mixture, and what I love about it too as well, and this is what I love about the women as a whole in general, I think it's elegance, it's articulation, it's just overall something that a lot of people can go towards. And I think if you look at it that way and you look at that visualization, so to speak, like for example, when Bob Ross would paint those doggone paintings and the joy of painting, and now he looked at that painting, you can look at the woman himself for what we get to see at this event. So that's how you have to look at it from the visualization standpoint.
Yes. You have a way with words, Michael.
You know what it is? I'll say this to you. Like we've talked, like it's an appreciation just because, like I said, my mom is like my biggest like supporter, and that's
Mhm.
where I got it from. And I think a lot of us at the end of the day, for women, their mothers, their confidants, their friends, their girlfriends, what have you. And I think it's just respect for women because a lot of people like
Mhm.
look at wrestling in general, like wrestling from a side of things, from sessions. You know, it's hard for women to get into the door like it was, not like it is now, but it's just like
Mhm.
it's so interesting to me, and I've always just appreciated not just women like yourself, but women as a whole. And I think a lot of people
Mhm.
can get into it, and it's something, if I can help with my voice, like your voice, Michelle, then it was worth it, you know.
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, your mother, I could tell she's a great woman, and she absolutely did an amazing job. Because for you to just be talking like you are right now, and then speaking so highly of her, that's really it's very nice. It's very
Thank
nice to hear. Yeah,
No, and Michelle, I think at the end of the day too, as well, with women like you, and I think the strong empowered women makes my job easy because we get to see doggone amazing people out here doing the damn thing,
no,
so to speak, ma'am. So I mean, it's wonderful to see, and I got to say, the people that you have coming in, and I will actually put the link in the description so people can check out
thank
Velvet
you.
Row. You're welcome, and definitely check it out, man. Instagram Live, Velvet Row. If for now those who are not following Michelle on Instagram, I got to put this over on your Instagram photos because I wanted to get into this. First of all, this woman over here, Jack, stacked, ready to crack. To put it bluntly, I got to say, love the photos, love the imagery from your bodybuilding work. It's awesome.
Thanks. I'm telling you, it's a full-time job.
No, but
I'm
it's
like, no, I go to sleep. I'm laying in bed,
okay.
and 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh wait, I have an idea. I get up, I start doing something on Instagram, start getting pictures together, and then I go to sleep, wake up maybe 5 o'clock. Oh, wait, I have another thing. No, this doesn't happen every day, mind you. But it's just like it's constantly on my mind because I come up with these ideas, and I just like to act in the moment. So,
No,
but,
that's the creative juices flowing. I think that goes with a lot of
mm,
people, just to have showcase that creativity, and the mind never stops, as they say. So I get it. I totally
no,
understand.
I hope it never stops. So
No, well, yeah, but at the end of the day, yes, I will say you are a great follow on the Instagram front from both the Velvet Row, which I got to say, well, let's put the name over here. I love the Velvet Row name, just first and foremost. I think that is a great to the overall
thank
brand. I've
you,
always enjoyed
thank
it.
you.
Yes. You're welcome. Can we just talk about how that also came into fruition? Because I was always kind of curious about it. Because I remember talking to Mandy and Muscle Marilyn and Brandy about this. I just combined their two names, but Muscle Marilyn and Brandy May. And I've also seen your work prior to that. Like, how did the Velvet Road thing kind of come into fruition? Because I've always thought it was a beautiful name and overall with the brand type of vibe.
Thank you. So this is it's so crazy. So my husband and I, we
Okay.
were thinking of a name. This was a few years ago. And I'm like, what can we do? Like, I don't want it to be mixed wrestling event anymore. I want it to be something sexy and different. He's the one that came up with it. So I have to give props where props are due. He's the one. He said, what about Velvet Row? And I'm like, hmm. So I'm like, okay, that sounds different. Something different. I looked to see if it was taken. So I incorporated myself. And that's honestly, it could be a more interesting story, but that's the story, and that's the truth. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
No,
That's
well,
what
first,
happened.
shout out to your husband for the name.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yes. But
yeah.
no, and you know it's funny. Like I hear you talking about being Sicilian. My grandmother, Nabli Don, God rest her soul, she was from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, New York. So I'm aware about the Sicilians and all that good stuff. Yes,
Mhm.
so I gotta say much respect on that front. But no, I think that's the way that we get to see it, folks. Velvet Row. Michelle Falsetta up in here in the place to be, muscles jacked, ready to crack. I'm just going to put that on a t-shirt, stamp it, boom. I think what we're going to see is a lot of great stuff going forward, and I cannot wait to see where your journey takes you, ma'am. And before we close this out, I'm going to put the overture out here. Anytime you want to come back for a round two, or anytime you want to promote, my platform's open to you. I really enjoyed this
Thank you
conversation.
so much. Thank you so much. It was really fun. I appreciate all your time.
Oh, you are very welcome. Now, ma'am, where can we follow you on Instagram, Twitter, promote the social medias? Go ahead.
So on Instagram, my personal is Falsetta M at Instagram. Velvet Row is Velvet VELVET dot row ROE at Instagram. On Twitter or X, it's the Velvet Row. One word on Twitter.
All right. Links will be in the description. And how hard is it? I'm going to say this right now because we talk about this with the promotion of social medias and promotion as a whole. It's so hard with like Twitter/X because I'm so entwined to say Twitter, but I know it's X now. But it's just like, you have to, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, absolutely. I think most of the time when I've been saying X and people look at me with this like blank look, I'm like, Twitter. I'm like, it hasn't been around long enough. I have to, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But people still, it's funny. I still receive emails from people that still say Twitter. So it's the same thing. I guess maybe in another 10 years, people will just refer to it as X.
Nah, the way I look at it, to quote the late great DMX, X going to give it to you. Put that little perspective out there. Thank you. Check out, as are you, man. So check her out on all forums. Michelle here, Falsetta, on Twitter, Instagram, Velvet Row. Go to event if you're not. Check out more information below the link in this interview, folks, and subscribe to Mike Larkin 92, and all of our links will be in the description. Follow us, check us out, like us. Hell, even if you dislike us, show us your engagement. We'll put the thumbs down, but most likely put the thumbs up because we in here like swimwear and we're ready to have some fun. So, as I close each and every show with this, and I mean this truly about you, Michelle Falsetta, and all the women out there, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are, and I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Come talk to me. You're looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And I bet you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for the good life, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin, looking at you, looking like you're into it. We're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, 'cause I'm just here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here.